Hello, everyone. Happy July. I hope you are feeling well, and I hope you're at some very, very nice place. I, too, am taking a vacation of some sort. Of course, I'm working all the time, so this is work as well, but at least I'm trying to have fun as well. And the reason of today's video is, of course, the Mars-Pluto square, which you probably have heard of. If you are aware of astrology, then you know that this is a not so nice pattern, but it occurs every year. So that's important to remember that this is not a rare aspect still. It's a very disruptive and negative energy because Mars is the fighter and Pluto is the manipulator. And whenever these two clash, not to speak of the fact that Pluto is the higher octave of Mars. So it is really, the whole energy is escalating, the fight, the strife. I just looked at the news, and there are a number of clashes and fights, and people are crazy. Anyhow, let's take a look at some of the this early July placements, and this gives me the occasion to speak to you about conjunctions, because as you can see, there will be many conjunctions. This is not this is what we are going to start with, this screen. Anyhow, what are conjunctions? Traditional astrology says that whenever two planets are next to each other within 5 degrees of orb, then they will impact each other. And of course, both are going to impact the other one. And you do need to look at the participating celestial objects to see which one is stronger. You need to also take a look at the energy pattern, the sign in which they are, which one is better for this or that. So in this way, you may understand how they work. There are some conjunctions that are very beneficial, for instance, the Venus-Jupiter or a Neptune-Venus or a Mars-Sun. These are really beneficial ones. But when there's Saturn involved, for instance, Saturn-Mars or even Pluto-Mars or Moon-Uranus, those are less nice, let's put it this way, not so nice, as the English love their understatements. And in karmic astrology, we look at it a tiny bit differently. What we say is this: the reason why there is a conjunction is often the fact that the native was not so sure that he or she will have enough strength or enough courage to go through life alone, so to speak. It's kind of like, when you are at a not very nice neighborhood and it's in the evening and it's getting dark and you need to get to the bus stop, and you ask someone to accompany you till the bus stop because you don't really like the flavor of that particular street. You don't want to be alone there. So conjunctions are planets which support each other. This is the way to look at it, even if they are not very good friends. So even let's say a Mars-Moon conjunction, which is not very nice, you could translate it in a way that, okay, this person needed some sort of fighting spirit on the spiritual level, or in their emotions, or how their spiritual essence is going to manifest. Otherwise, it wouldn't function too well. That's what he or she thinks. So let's take a look at today's conjunctions. The Sun, Black Moon Lilith is still there. It is separating, but at the moment, the Sun is quite slow because in the Sun-Earth ellipsis, we are farthest from the Sun at the moment. So seen from the Earth, the Sun travels a little bit slower than average. And that is why, of course, Lilith is much slower because Lilith's orbit is 9 years, while the Sun's orbit is 1 year. It takes 1 year. So obviously it's 9 times faster, but still for the next couple of days, they are still moving together. And here you can see that the Sun always has the same effect. It always infuses the other planet or chart point with energy and consciousness, insight. And the Black Moon Lilith can lend courage and stamina and some sort of endurance to the Sun. The Mars-Aries conjunction, which is by now separating, thank God, That is a harsh one. That is something that we don't really like. And actually, that is why the Pluto-Mars square, which is not very, as I said, it happens every year, so it's not rare at all. Sorry. That is what makes this particular square much harder. Because Aries is there. Aries means drastically altered outward circumstances. So it's not a regular Mars Pluto square. It is more warlike and more aggressive in a way. This is a separating conjunction. So Mars is going to separate in a couple of days, maybe 4 or 5 days. It is waning down. The energy is calming down. And by then, as Pluto is retrograding, the square is also dissolving, hopefully by, let's say, by the middle of next week. So I would say by the 6th, 7th of July, it's going to be separated. And we do have a doubly applying Neptune-Astrea conjunction. Astrea is the karma breaker, the destiny changer, and Neptune is, of course, your beautiful transcendental planet of light. So that is good. That provides us with the chance to get insight into what needs to be completely altered. And but they make a square to Mercury, so there is this mutable square between the planet of conscious knowledge and learning and instinctual understanding, Neptune, and Astrea is the karma breaker adding to the picture. And there's also Pallas Athena Sedna conjunction, and Pallas Athena is the wise girl, and Sedna is creation through dissection. This is an applying conjunction, so Pallas Athena is nearing. In the next couple of days, it will be completely conjunct Sedna, which is at the end of the sign, but it won't change signs until I believe 2014, so it's going to be quite a long time. Now, I chose the 22nd and 23rd degrees of the signs, and this is what you have. You do have a dissolved opposition. This is probably the first configuration that beginners in astrology meet or see or understand. You have an opposition, opposing sides of the same thing or opposing planets, and then comes a third and dissolves the energy and dissolves the tension. And in this case, it is past, tense, future. It is your karma and your chosen destiny. And Astrea, the karma breaker, is helping you to resolve the issue. There's also a mutable water engine. I love engines. They are made up by a square, a trine, and a quincunx. So there are 3 different types of aspects. Square is an aspect full of strife and tension. There's the trine with harmony, and there's the quincunx with karma. And an engine has you know what an engine can do? Carry a lot of stuff. It is able to carry huge loads and transport it to another place. That is what we have here. The water portion or the trine gives you emotions, and the square, the mutable square, gives you things inside how to resolve it. And again, it's the Mercury Astrea immutable square that gives you the tension. There's also a dissolved square. So this particular square is dissolved by the North Node, your chosen destiny. And in Taurus, the North Node suggests that we need to keep our harmony, our well-being, our security needs, whatever Taurus presents. And here's the problem, that this is being taken away from us exactly before our eyes. I can see that in the United States. I can see the prices. I can see the baby formula issue. In Europe, they are now taking away our heating potentials. I mean, it's ridiculous. I don't know what will happen. I mean, the Germans are funny. They are really funny people, because you can do whatever you need to do with them. If you tell them what to do, they are going to follow you. And at the moment, the Greens have taken over Germany. I just hope that someone will see how brutally stupid they are. And I use the word brutally because They don't care. They don't care what's going to happen to the people. The people will freeze to death this year. In Africa, they are going to die of famine, and in Europe they are going to freeze to death. So that is what we should really take into account. We should keep whatever we have because we worked for it, because we put it together. No one can take it away from us. That is what the placement would suggest. If you are strong enough and have enough courage to do something about it. And here are the transcendental objects. You might remember that Gemini 22nd, 23rd, 24th degree is a star-studded territory on the zodiac. Of course, these constellations are very diverse. They're not at, so it doesn't mean that these 5 stars are at one point. Actually, Vogt, which is Alpha Columba, is on the southern hemisphere. You don't see it from the northern hemisphere. Capella Auriga is on the up north. The whole constellation of Orion is in the middle of the sky. The 2 bad stars, actually there are 3 bad stars, out of which 2 are now important. Minta, Cardinal, Nilam are on the celestial equator, signifying balance. Vogt means, of course, peace, the dove. And Taurus, Beta Taurus, Anat, is the fighting spirit. And Capella is a very, very bright star, and that is freedom, movement, energy, happiness infused in the space-time moment. Hephaestus is also Mercury. And of course, Mercury helps us to download those pieces of information and knowledge that these stars can bring to us. And Hephaestus, if you think of the myth, when Pallas Athena is born out of Zeus's head, then Hera, who is always very, very jealous and wants to do away with the offspring, these bastards and the rivals, she doesn't know what to do. There's no rival, okay? And Pallas Athena is a beautiful goddess, so there's no way she can actually do away with her. So she decides to create her own child. Yes, the problem is that she is jealous, vindictive, she is mad, she has very, very negative emotions, and this is how Hephaestus is created. And he turns out to be a hunchback, ugly child, and here throws him out. And of course, you can't kill a god. You can only forget about a god. So you can, when we are forgotten, we cease to exist. This is what Queen Mab says in, I think, in Merlin, in the movie Merlin. But you can't effectively kill a god. A god is a god. So Hephaestus, who is a god, is not getting killed. But when he grows up and realizes who he is, and realizes that he will never be beautiful, he will never be perfect. What he chooses instead is that what he creates is perfect. And this is what we should do, my dear friends. Okay, we as a mankind, as human beings, we are not perfect, but we are able to create something that is close to perfect, if this is what we choose. And with the help of these fixed stars and the fact that Mercury describes knowledge and understanding, this is exactly what we can do in this space-time moment, which is quite harsh because you have the Mercury-Pluto square, of course, there. And the South Node is on Deukalion, that is still the archetype of survival, okay, and being chosen. You may remember that he is Prometheus' son, who is chosen by Zeus to survive the flood. And he is the one who is restarting mankind. Okay, and then on the North Node, you have Prudence, and Odysseus, the traveler, the adventurer, who doesn't do his adventures out of his own choice because he's being punished and he can't get home, but still he makes the best of it. He makes the best of the negative energies. So that's what we are supposed to do as well. And on the 27th to 29th degree, Saturn is a little bit out of it because it's already at 25 degrees, but I choose to include him nevertheless. But anyhow, here you have a crooked mini crown. It's not closing. So the tip of the crown is Neptune, of course. So that's what happens if the orbs are too wide. And there are some energies that are kind of getting in and out of the orb. But anyhow, what happens here, and this is why I put this together. Otherwise, this is a configuration that I would normally not include, because for my taste, the aspects are a bit wide. I normally use only 2 degrees for configurations. The reason why I put it here is the Pluto-Mars square. Yes, which is amplified by the Aries-Mars conjunction, that's for sure. This is a cardinal square. It will cause a lot of disruption, fights, the war may escalate, people might get into fights, war will flow, blood will flow, sorry, as in war usually. But look at the energy pattern. This square is doubly dissolved because you have a Pluto-Neptune trine, which is a little bit wide, but you also have the Pluto-Pallas Athena trine, which is very tight. So there's wisdom. This is it. You should look at the energy through wisdom. And then you have Sedna as well, creation through dissection, which, as I said, this year in 2022, the trine is not going to tighten to exactness, but the energy is still at your disposal. So that's what you have. And there's also the Saturn Pallas Athena fixed square, which kind of is sad because Saturn is stalling wisdom and recreating stuff, the non-working segments of our lives. So the Lord of Karma is really not allowing us to do what we are supposed to do completely. And here are the transcendental objects. We get to Pallas Athena the last because that's the most important. That tells us the story. That it really tells us what is happening. As one of my dear friend and student, Teresa, always says, you couldn't even make it up. Yes, and she's very right about this. So let's see. On Mars, you have Andromeda Galaxy. This is the only galaxy that can be watched, observed by the naked eye. It's a dimension portal. You can actually download knowledge from there. It's quite interesting if it's prominent in your chart. It's at 29 degrees of Aries, that is the prominent portion. When you have that, something that is there, then you can download the energy. On Saturn, you have 2 bright stars, Deneb Algadi, which is that of Capricornus, the knee of these of Capricorn, which is steadiness and strength, and Sadal Sud, which is the beta star of Aquarius, denoting luck and energy. And on Neptune, you have Heracles and Hermes. Hermes is denoting wisdom and alchemy and again the potential to download important knowledge that is hidden. And Heracles, of course, is the hero. So a strong hero, someone who can work for the good of mankind. On Pluto, you have Amicus still. Amicus is the centaur describing an attitude when I don't care whether this or that is a sacred object. If I need it in war, I'm going to use it. And that's exactly what's happening in the world. No one cares anymore what is sacred. Life should be sacred for one thing, and people don't care for it. And we just destroy our world through our greediness. And then we arrived finally at the Pallas Athena Sedna conjunction. On Sedna, you have the Pleiades. And on Pallas Athena, you have a number of, actually 6 important asteroids, which all tell you the same story. Pallas Athena denotes wisdom. Here you have Phaeton and Apophis, 2 disaster asteroids, 2 asteroids that are telling us through the myths how mankind went through terrible cataclysms. And Pallas Athena is wisdom, and Memoria tells us, memory tells us, please remember, please dear mankind, please dear people, let's try not to concentrate on stupid and invalid things, concentrate on the ones that are really important. We might as well really learn from the past for once. And then you have Sophia, who is a very interesting character. If you read the Gnostics, okay, Gnostics were a form of Christian religion And they loved Sophia because she was a figure of she was the feminine emanation of the Godhead. So it's a very ancient archetype. It's really the goddess, the creator goddess archetype. It's just that they didn't really want to say this because in the last 2,000 years, God is a male figure, and you can't say that no, the world was created by a goddess, because it's only a woman who can deliver a child. So creation is feminine. So they couldn't say that, but they still used the figure of Sophia, wisdom, to kind of indicate that we know what is happening, and we know that this was a woman's energy. And you also have Hathor, the goddess of motherhood in Egyptian mythology, and Tristan, the knight in shining armor. So these are the saving energies of the Pluto Mars square, which is, yes, quite disruptive, quite negative in impact, but we have so many other stuff, other things going on in the space-time moment, that I really hope that nothing bad is happening to you. Please be wise. If you have placements around 26 to 28 degrees of the cardinal signs, then be careful, because then you will internalize the Mars Pluto square. Otherwise, just have fun, have a cocktail, be out in the sun, and enjoy that it is July. Enjoy warmth, freedom, and love. Take care. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.